Mom, you're kind of in the background, but you can't really.
You can see me, but not real good, right?
Right.
You want me to move?
No, I'd rather you be here.
Okay. You can see me?
Oh, yeah.
Handsome fella. Should I go live on Taylor? Facebook? Yeah. Just turn this out. It's over.
Hi, everyone. We're just going to give it a couple minutes, let people trickle on in. Get yourself comfortable. Revelation 12 is where we're going to be doing our study out of today. Give it about one more minute, and then we'll get started. Okay, it's 8 o'clock on the dot. We'll go ahead and get started. So this week is week 5. We're still diving into Revelation. Revelation 12 through 14, the battle for allegiance, worship, and power. I feel like these chapters are very misconstrued. Everyone thinks like the mark of the beast is, there's so many conspiracy theories about it. And I think there's I think I think that there is a lot of things that why is it always me? Um I think there's a lot of movies and stuff where they tell you that the mark of the beast is like, whatever. And I think it will be very interesting when we dive into it tonight. I apologize. I got completely distracted. Leave it to the Harden household to be complete and utter chaos every time. So we're going to start with Revelation 12. Before I dive in, I want to just read this chapter. It's a short chapter. It won't take us long. So please follow along. 3 great signs in their interpretation. 3 signs in heaven, the woman and the dragon and the sun. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in labor and agony as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven. There was a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on its heads were 7 crowns. Its tail swept away a third of the stars in heaven and hurled them to earth. And the dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she did give birth, it might devour her child. She gave birth to a son, a male who was going to rule all nations with an iron rod. Her child was caught up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared by God to be nourished there for 1,260 days. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon and his angels also fought, but he could not prevail, and there was no place for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was thrown out, the ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the one who deceives the whole world. He was thrown to earth, and his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have now come, because the accuser of our brothers and sisters who accuses them before our God day and night and has been thrown down. They conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, for they did not love their lives to the point of death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and who dwell in them. Woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has come down to you with great fury, because he knows his time is short. Thrown down to the earth, he persecuted the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle so that she could fly from the serpent's presence to her place in the wilderness, where she was nourished for a time, times, and half a time. From his mouth, the serpent spewed water like a river flowing after the mountain, or after the woman, to sweep her away with a flood. But the earth helped the woman. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the rivers that the dragon had spewed from his mouth. So the dragon was furious with the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring. Those who keep the commands of God and hold firmly to the testimony of about Jesus. The dragon stood on the sand of the sea. Whew, that was a little bit of a tongue twister there at the end. This week, where Revelation becomes more than a future prophecy, it becomes recognizable in our world right now. The beast is not just a man. The mark is not just technology. The conflict is not just physical. Everything in Revelation 13 centers around allegiance. And 13 is a little, well, I guess we can read 13. Whose kingdom will humanity belong to? Whose voice will they obey? Whom will they worship? Not all bow to the beast, but many will. So again, like I kind of said last week, I went back and I watched it, like this little snippet. But I had said that Revelation is like getting the test answers before the test. So I think the biggest thing is that we know many will fall short and some won't be able to follow through with what God really, really wants, because, they won't be strong. But if you study the word and you study Revelation, it's the answers to the test, right? So let's go ahead and read 13. The 2 beasts in their deception. And I saw a beast coming up from the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads. On its horns were 10 crowns, and on its heads were blasphemous names. Blasphemous names, yeah. The beast I saw was like a leopard, its feet were like a bear, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. The dragon gave the beast his power, his throne, and great authority. One of its heads appeared to be fatally wounded, but its fatal wound was healed. The whole earth was amazed and followed the beast. They worshipped the dragon because he gave authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who is able to wage war against it?" The beast was given a mouth to utter boast and blasphemies. It was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. It began to speak blasphemies against God, to blaspheme his name and his dwelling, those who dwell in heaven. And it was permitted to wage war against the saints and to conquer them. It was also given authority over every tribe, people, nation, language, and nation. All those who live on the earth will worship it, everyone whose name was not written from the foundation of the word in the book of life of the Lamb who was slaughtered. If anyone has ears to hear, let them listen. If anyone is to be taken captive, into the captivity he goes. If anyone is to be killed with a sword he will be killed. This calls for endurance and faithfulness from the saints. Then I saw another beast come up out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all authority of the first beast on its behalf and compels the earth and those who live on it to worship the first beast whose fatal wound was healed. It also performs great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to earth in front of people. It deceives those who live on the earth because of the signs, and it is permitted to perform in the presence of the beast, telling those who live on the earth to make an image of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. It was permitted to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast could both speak and cause whoever would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. And it makes everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, the beast's name, or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, because it is the number of a person. It's number 666. Dun dun dun. Okay. Revelation 12, the cosmic war. Before we talk about the beast, we must see the bigger reality. There is a war in heaven and it spills to earth. There is a war in heaven and it spills to earth. The woman, it is Israel, right? Or us, the bride. The dragon, Satan, the male child, Yeshua, and the remnant, those who keep God's commands and hold the testimony of Yeshua. Satan is not cast out because he becomes more powerful, but because Yeshua has already triumphed. The dragon wages, I hate this, I can't say it, wages war because he knows his time is short. He is not reigning, he is desperate. Revelation 13, two beasts in one system. Beast one is political power and a power system. Out of the sea, representing the nations, he is given authority to rule over people, over economies, over war, over nations. He is admired, respected, and followed. The world asks, who is like the beast? Who can wage war against him? This is not just a ruler, this is a global system of political authority. Beast two, religious spiritual deception. Out of the earth, the false prophet. He looks like a lamb, gentle, harmless, and spiritual, but speaks like a dragon. Deception with scripture like language. He performs miracles. He makes the world worship the first beast. He promotes unity, not truth. He glorifies power, not holiness. Modern word for this, one world religion, right? A faith that doesn't require repentance, obedience, or holiness, just unity, tolerance, and global cooperation. Sounds peaceful, but costs your soul. The mark of the beast, what it really is. Not merely a microchip, not only technology, not something someone will receive accidentally, right? Revelation makes it very clear. It is tied to worship and allegiance. The mark is about who you serve. So the forehead, belief, your hand, actions, and then the system, economic control. The mark is identity, loyalty, and participation. We're watching the framework form right now, right? I mean, I never thought that I would see it in my lifetime. But, we have digital currency and crypto, biometric ID systems, social credit scoring, narrative based censorship, global governments, language, centralized religion, and morality redefinition. The mark is not just technology, technology is the delivery system for worship, right? So I'm going to say that again. The mark is not just technology. So it's not necessarily to be fearful of the technology, but the technology is a delivery system for worship. So I kind of want to backtrack a little bit. So everyone gets afraid because they're like, well, this is happening and this is happening. Yes, but it's only like framework, right? It's not like, there's not like the Antichrist or anything like that, but you can kind of see how it's kind of like forming together. And in a way, it's kind of reassuring because at least the Bible's right. How would this, written thousands and thousands of years ago, be able to talk about something that's happening now? Right? It was can you help me out, Mom? Who
What?
who wrote Revelation?
John in the island of Patmos.
Okay, so right. So we're talking thousands of years ago, and he has a dream or has a vision and writes all this. Come on, guys. That's crazy. So I think there's also a calming effect to it being so reassuring that it's a factual piece of history, right? What about 666? For it is the number of man 666, right? That was the last scripture we read. Man was created on day 6. 7 equals divine completion, 6 human without God. I'm going to stop myself because I kind of remembered what I wanted to say. The way that things are happening in our world today, I feel like they are trying to teach new generations more and more to make them numb to the things that are happening and the things that the Bible warns you about. So I'm going to bring this up, which is very controversial, which I cannot believe it is, but the Epstein files, right? So there's a way that they're almost, I would never believe the amount of people or who is on those lists, correct? So we're sitting here and we're saying, there's all these people on the Epstein list, like these are people like we've looked up to and blah blah blah. And in a way, shape or form, because you like that person, you tend to not necessarily look the other way, but people are like, oh, maybe wrong place, wrong time, right? But I think the moral of the story is they're trying to make it numb on certain things to make it easier for that framework to really form into a full-blown plan and execution of what the beast wants, right? So you see it, we're so numb to cell phones now. And I'm living with my grandma. She's 2 generations behind us, and she doesn't understand why we use our phones every day and why I'm working at night on my cell phone, because generations have changed. So every generation makes it easier for the beast, right? And everything that comes with it. So 666 is the fullness of human rule apart from God. It is Babylon at its peak. A world unified in rebellion, not just one man, not just a chip, a system of worship revolved around man instead of God. I think the problem with society, and especially Christians, it was we look too much to the actual technology. And I wanted to make sure I made that in my notes, that it's too much about technology and we're not seeing what's causing it, what's really the background. And it's a system of worship revolved around man instead of God. So we're too focused. Like, look at our cell phones. Kids want to be influencers now because they're becoming a narcissist, right? They want to worship themselves. They want to worship an influencer or a celebrity. Right, like Hollywood, etc. So it's a system of worship revolved around man instead of God. We're getting farther and farther away from God with all the different things that are thrown in our face. And we're getting away from creation because, and I know this is controversial too, but when we had a fight for our own food, or how we lived, and it wasn't like, oh, I don't know how to explain it, but way back when life was simpler and you appreciated the gift that the animal gave you by food or clothes or whatever. And that was a part of worshiping God's creation because he gave that to you. Now we're so distanced from it that they slaughter thousands of animals a day, millions potentially, hundreds of thousands animals a day just to feed people, and people don't understand how far they are from that. How many people say grace? So it's a system of worship revolved around man instead of God.
Yeah. Who's
Revelation 14, the remnant stand firm. That's us, the remnant. While the world takes the mark, there is another people. There are not many. They are not applauded. They are not safe, but they are sealed. They follow the Lamb wherever he goes. This is the end time church, the overcomers, the faithful, the pure. While Babylon rises, the remnant stands. While the world blends, the remnant refuses. This is why Revelation is preparation, not prediction. The mark is not forced before it is accepted into the heart. People will worship the beast willingly, not by accident. The greatest danger to the church is not persecution, it is compromise. Babylon won't just demand loyalty, it will seduce it. Those who are not rooted now will bow later. So you think about churches right now. Churches right now, some of these mega churches, I feel like are so far from true worship and what's really happening, that I think that's why it would be easier for people to follow the beast, right? Because you have you have churches that want fog machines, and they do. I saw this one where they had this comedian hanging from the ceiling, like doing some kind of dance or something as part of like that's worshiping people. It needs to be simple. And I think that's why it's super important to have Bible study, because it's just us sitting around just talking, and talking about the Bible. And so I think it's super important to get back to simplicity of church. So, discussion question: what signs do we see today of the beast system forming? Why is the mark more about worship and allegiance than technology? How does the false prophet appear like a lamb but speak like a dragon? What separates the faithful remnant from the seduced majority? Are we preparing to endure and stand, or expecting to escape? And I think that's the key ingredient, and that's kind of why I started this whole thing, was because the rapture teachings have gotten so far from what I think the Bible truly is interpreted, and I just wanted to dive into Revelation. It's not something to be afraid of. It's something that you need to prepare yourself for, and if you're not and if it doesn't happen for our generation, then we need to prepare the next generation. I appreciate all you guys watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I actually kind of liked this one because that's something Christians are, oh, don't, the mark of the beast, oh my gosh. But I think Revelation is definitely has opened my eyes a lot. Again, it's the answers to the test before you take it. So I appreciate, again, all of you. If you feel led, please donate to our church, thetorchchurch.com.
Brenda's on today.
Services will be Thursday nights at 7:30. We'll be going live, and then Ignite Bible Study we'll still be holding at 8 o'clock on Mondays. And I apologize for that being broken up and us having to cancel some Mondays. Busy mom life gets in the way, right? Anyway, thank you all again, thetorchchurch.com. And if you have any questions, or you have maybe a topic that you'd like us to discuss, please reach out, message us. Bible studies are always going to be great, especially when we're talking about something that everyone wants to be involved in. So thank you again, everyone. I appreciate you, and have a good week. We'll see you on Thursday.